Welcome back, dear students. In the previous session, we have started with chapter number 3, human reproduction. We have discussed male and female reproductive system and their organs and their parts. This much have been finished. Now today we are going to start with events which occurs in a sexual reproduction in a human. And one of the first event that occurs in a sexual reproduction in a human is gametogenesis. Gametogenesis. This is the first process under pre-fertilization, okay, that leads to a production of a gametes. Okay, so what is a gametogenesis? You know the meaning. Genesis means formation of a gamete. This is called as gametogenesis. You know that a male that produces a male gamete, okay, and the female, it produces female gamete. Okay, the production of a male gamete occurs from a male germ cell. It occurs from male germ cell. What you can also call it as spermatogonium. This is the name of cell from which a production of gamete that occurs in a male. Okay, the male gamete can also be called as spermatozoa, or it can also be called as sperm. Okay, so this is a process what we call it as gamete formation. So the male germ cell that produces the male gamete called as spermatozoa or the sperm, that we have to discuss. Again, the female gamete that can also be called as egg or ovum. Okay, and it starts to produce from oogonium. Okay, so today we have to discuss how this spermatozoa or the sperm, they are going to be produced under a gametogenesis. Okay, so let's discuss how that sperm or male gametes are produced by different organs of a human. Okay, before I start, I want to emphasize that this male gamete is produced by a primary sex organ called as testes, and that female gamete that is produced by a primary female sex organ called as ovaries. Okay, so where this process occurs, the formation of that gamete formation in a male, it occurs in a testis, in a female it occurs in ovaries. Okay, so let's discuss how the process of formation of gametes takes place. Okay, so let's start. Spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis, that means a formation of spermatozoa, or you can also call it as sperm. The process of formation of spermatozoa or the sperm, this is called as spermatogenesis. Which is an organ? It is done by, or the process of formation of sperm that occurs in primary male sex organ. So it occurs in testes. It occurs in testes. We have already discussed the structure of a testes. When this process occurs, the process of formation of this spermatozoa that starts at the age of puberty. Okay, it doesn't start before a puberty. So the process of formation of spermatogenesis, it starts at a puberty. Okay, so again repeat, what is called as a spermatogenesis? Genesis means formation of what? Sperm. Okay, also it is a process of formation of spermatozoa or a sperm. Okay, in a male, where it is produced? It's produced in a testes. And when the process of spermatogenesis starts, it starts at the age of puberty. Okay, it starts at the age of puberty, and then after the puberty it continues lifelong. Okay, it continues lifelong in a male. Okay, Now we will see how the process is going to occur, how the spermatogenesis occurs. Spermatogenesis is actually a continuous process, but for easy understanding, we are just dividing this spermatogenesis in different stages. So the spermatogenesis is basically divided into two stages. The first stage, it's called as formation of spermatid, and the second one, the second process is called as spermiogenesis. Remember, this is a different term. This is spermatogenesis, this is a spermiogenesis. So again repeat, a spermatogenesis, for better understanding, it's divided into two stages. First, a formation of spermatid, and the second process is called as spermiogenesis. Okay? Formation of spermatid, it occurs in three stages. This process occurs in three stages. Which are the three stages of spermatid formation? The first stage is called as multiplication phase. Second one is called as growth phase. And the third phase is called as maturation phase. Okay, clear students? Spermatid formation occurs in how many stages? Three stages. First, it's multiplication phase. Second one is growth phase. Or third one is called as maturation phase. Spermiogenesis, once the spermatid is formed, there are some changes occur in a spermatid, and from this spermatid, a process of sperm is produced. That process is called as spermiogenesis. So what kind of a changes that takes place in spermiogenesis? Here there is a main changes that takes place. There is a change in nucleus. Second, there is an acrosome formation. And third one is there is a change in or formation of centriole. Okay, so these are the three kind of changes that takes place in spermatid, and ultimately a sperm is going to produced. Okay, so this is, I again repeat, what are the different phases? Spermatogenesis means a process of formation of sperm. It occurs in testes. The process starts at the puberty. Spermatogenesis, actually it is a continuous process, but for easy understanding, we are dividing into two parts or two phases. First stage is formation of spermatid, second is spermiogenesis. Formation of spermatid, it is subdivided into three stages or phases: multiplication, growth, maturation. And spermiogenesis, here the changes takes place in spermatid that leads to a formation of a sperm. So what are the changes that take place? The change in a nucleus, acrosome formation, and the centriole formation takes place that leads to ultimately production of a sperm. Okay, so let's discuss how the process is going to start. Now all of you know that there is a presence of a particular cell, okay, in a seminiferous tubule. The seminiferous tubule that is present in the testes or testicular lobule that possesses the two type of a cell. One is called as male germ cell, or you can also call it as spermatogonium, and the second type of a cell which is present in it is a Sertoli cell. Here the sperm formation, it starts from male germ cell or spermatogonium. Okay, so the process starts from spermatogonium. This is the cell from which the process of formation of sperm starts. Where it is present? That is present in the wall or lining of seminiferous tubule. It contains 2n number of chromosomes. How many number of chromosomes? 2n number of chromosomes. They are present in it. Okay. Now what happens to it? That enters, first it leads to a formation of spermatid by these three stages: multiplication, growth, maturation. So starting with the first phase, multiplication. The name itself suggests multiply. This spermatogonium, I have just shown a one cell, one spermatogonium. When many, then it is called as spermatogonia. So the singular is spermatogonium, many, it's a spermatogonia. I am just telling you the process with an example of one spermatogonium. Okay, the same thing happens to other spermatogonia which are present in the seminiferous tubule. Okay, so here the first step starts. It's called as multiplication. Means the cell divides and multiply. Cell divides and multiply. So how the multiplication process starts? It divides by a process called as mitosis. You know the process called as mitosis? In a mitosis, how many daughter cells are produced? 2 daughter cells are going to be produced. Okay, so here the process occurs by mitosis, which again continue to divide. The process continue and it continue to divide, and many cells are going to be produced. Okay, these are called as they are many. We are calling it as spermatogonia. Okay, this phase is called as multiplication. What it is called as? Multiplication phase. Here the spermatogonia multiply repetitively by a process called as mitosis. You know the meaning of mitosis? Mitosis means it's a division process, cell division process, where from one parent cell 2 daughter cells are produced, and the number of chromosomes that remains in it remains the same. So here if the parent has 2n, so the daughter cell also has a 2n number of. So the process occurs number of times. I have just shown it for 2 times, but the process occurs many times, and so that's why many spermatogonia are produced. This is called as multiplication phase. The first phase, what we call it as multiplication phase. After multiplication, the spermatogonia enters into a next phase. This is called as growth phase. Means this spermatogonia which is going to be produced, from that one cell, it becomes enlarged. It becomes enlarged and increases in the size. It takes the nutrient. It receives the nutrients from the Sertoli cells which is present along with it. Okay. So by that the size of cell is going to be increases. And this phase, the increase in the size of a cell, this phase is called as growth phase. The second phase in a spermatid formation, it's called as growth phase. Okay, it's just the increase in the size of a cell. So obviously the number of chromosome which remains in it, that remains the same. But now as there is an increase in the size, the name of a cell gets changed. It's called as primary spermatocyte. What it is called as? Primary spermatocyte. Okay, so in the growth phase, the spermatogonia, okay, there are many spermatogonia, but I have just shown one. Okay, there are many spermatogonia. They takes the nutrition and the size of it gets increased and it becomes a rich in nutrient. So that increase the size of the cell. This is called as primary spermatocyte. And this phase of development is called as growth phase. What it is called as? Growth phase. So 2 phases are over in spermatid formation: multiplication and growth. In multiplication, the spermatogonium, it divides, multiply number of times. Then in a growth phase, the size of a cell gets increased. Now the third phase, it's called as maturation. Okay, so the third phase is going to start. So what happens into a third phase? In a third phase, this cell, the primary spermatocyte, it divides. Okay, and here 2 cells are going to be produced. But here the type of division which is going to occur is called as meiosis. So it enters into a first meiotic division. So what we call it as meiosis 1. Okay, the primary spermatocyte that enters into a first meiotic division, what we call it as meiosis 1. It can also be called as reductional cell division. Okay, all of you also know it. It's called as a reductional cell division. And here, due to a reductional cell division, the number of chromosomes, they becomes a half than the parent. So here the parent has a 2n. Now it becomes a end and end. Okay. So such cells which are going to be produced, they are called as secondary spermatocytes. What it is called as? Secondary spermatocyte. And thus secondary spermatocyte are going to form. Okay. Now this is the first meiotic. Now it again enter into a second meiotic division. This again enter into a second meiotic division. And so here the number remains same in second meiotic division, and what we call it as meiosis 2. This is meiosis 2. Meiosis 2. And finally, the 4 spermatids are going to be produced. What we call it as spermatid. And this phase is called as maturation phase. What it is called as? Maturation phase. And what is going to be formed? These cells are considered as spermatid. They are called as spermatid. Okay. So from one primary spermatocyte, 4 spermatids are going to be formed. And thus you can calculate, if there are many primary spermatocytes, multiply by 4, that much number of spermatids are going to be formed. Okay. This spermatid has haploid number of chromosome, or it possesses n number of chromosome. Okay. So you know that human being is a diploid. It contains 2n number of chromosome in most of the cells except a gamete, that means sperm and ovum. 2n means 46 number of chromosome. So the spermatogonia has 46 number of chromosome. Primary spermatocyte also has a 46 number of chromosome. But when secondary spermatocyte is going to be formed, it has n, half, 23 number, and the spermatid also has n, that means 23 number of chromosomes are present. Okay, so that is the first step over what we call it as formation of spermatid. Okay, what we call it as formation of spermatid. Again repeat how the process occurs. Formation of spermatid, it occurs in 3 stages: multiplication, growth and maturation. The process starts from spermatogonium, that is present in seminiferous tubule. This cell divides by mitosis. It multiplies by mitosis process, and many spermatogonia are produced. Now this spermatogonia enters into next step, what we call it as growth phase, and the size of cell gets increased, and this is called as primary spermatocyte. Now this primary spermatocyte enters into third phase, what we call it as maturation phase. In a maturation phase, it enters into a first meiotic division or first reductional division, and it forms secondary spermatocyte. Here the number of chromosome gets halved. Okay, so if the primary spermatocyte has 2n, means 46, then the secondary spermatocyte has n, means 23 number of chromosome. Now this secondary spermatocyte, it enters into a second meiotic division, and after that 4 haploid spermatid cells are going to be formed, and thus a spermatid or spermatids are going to be formed. Spermatid. Okay. So at the end of this step, spermatids are formed. Now still the sperm has not been produced. Okay, because here the process is going to start. The another process is going to start, and that process is called as spermatogenesis. I again repeat, spermatogenesis means a process of formation of sperm includes 2 steps. Spermatid formation that we have discussed. This is a spermatid which are going to be formed. Now there are certain changes occurs in spermatid, and then it converts to a sperm. That process of conversion or change, that is called as spermiogenesis. Okay, so let's start with a spermiogenesis. In a spermiogenesis, there are 3 changes takes place. First is change in the nucleus. So what is the kind of a change that occurs in the nucleus? Here the nucleus, they loses the water, and so that's why its size gets reduced. Okay, the RNA and the nucleolus which is present in the nucleus, they gets disappear, and the DNA which is present in it, it becomes a concentrated. These 3 changes takes place in a nucleus. First change in a nucleus is there is a loss of water and the size of nucleus gets reduced. Second, the RNA and the nucleolus that is present in nucleus, they gets you can say disappear. And the third one, that is the DNA becomes a more concentrated. DNA becomes a more concentrated. So this is the changes which occurs in the nucleus. Second, there is a acrosome formation. What is acrosome? That we will see in the structure. Acrosome is the anterior portion of a sperm. Okay, that acrosome formation, it occurs from Golgi complex. Okay, every cell possesses the Golgi complex, and from this Golgi complex, the acrosome formation occurs. And finally, there is a formation of a centriole. Two centrioles are going to be formed, anterior centriole and the posterior centriole. And once it is finished, and thus process that is occurred, that's called as a spermatogenesis over, or the sperm or spermatozoa are going to be produced. Okay, but initially what happens, the head of the sperm that remains in the embedded or attached in the spaces between the Sertoli cells. It remains attached or that remains embedded. It's not released. And once the sperm is going to be formed, then the liberation of that sperm occurs. Okay, its head is going to be liberated, which is already embedded in the between the Sertoli cells. That liberation of that occurs, and that process is called as spermiation. What is called as spermiation? So in short, what is a spermiation? Spermiation is the process of liberation of sperm from Sertoli cells or between the spaces of Sertoli cells. Okay, that process is called as spermiation, or in simple term you can also call it as liberation of a sperm from seminiferous tubule. This is called as spermiation process. Okay, so that is about a process called as spermatogenesis. This is very much important, very important topic regarding to an examination point of view. You have to thoroughly do this process. Remember what it is called as spermatogenesis process. Okay, any doubt? I can repeat. 2 steps: formation of spermatid, spermiogenesis. Spermatid formation includes multiplication, growth, maturation, and then the spermatid, haploid spermatid are formed from spermatogonium. Then there are changes occurs in nucleus, formation of acrosome and centriole, and ultimately sperm is going to be produced. That sperm gets liberated, and that process occurs is called as spermiation. So you have to focus on the terms spermatogenesis, this is spermiogenesis, this is spermiation. All these three have a different meaning. I just mentioned the meaning. Spermatogenesis means a process of formation of a sperm. Next, spermiogenesis means the changes that occurs in a spermatid and that leads to a formation of a sperm. And spermiation, that means a liberation of a sperm from the seminiferous tubule. This is called as spermiation. Clear, students? So this is very important. You have to remember it through a diagram. Okay. So that is a spermatogenesis. Now the question occurs in our mind. You already have information that this process of spermatogenesis, it starts at puberty, at the age of maturing a human being in a male. So how or when this process starts, or how this process is going to be regulated. Okay, so that let's discuss how that is the process of formation of sperm that is controlled or regulated. Okay, so how the process occurs or controlled. So we will see a regulation of this process. So regulation, you know that when a male reaches a puberty or when it reaches a specific age like 13, 14, at that time from hypothalamus, it is a part of brain, forebrain, clear? From hypothalamus, a specific hormone gets released. The name of this hormone is called as GnRH. Full form is gonadotrophin releasing hormone. This is a full form of GnRH. GnRH is a hypothalamic hormone. That means it's a release from a hypothalamus. When it releases, the process occurs at puberty. Clear? The process occurs on puberty. This GnRH that is released from hypothalamus, that is now act on pituitary gland, or more specifically anterior pituitary gland. Which one? Anterior pituitary gland. Another endocrine gland that is again present in a forebrain. So this GnRH act on this anterior pituitary gland and they releases two hormones. One is called as LH and the second one is called as FSH. You know the name of this LH full form? LH, luteinizing hormone. Okay, it is luteinizing hormone. And this is FSH, it is follicle stimulating hormone. Okay, so GnRH act on anterior pituitary gland. So that's why it leads to a release of two hormones, LH and FSH, means luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone respectively. Now what is the function of this LH? This LH, which is released from anterior pituitary gland, it act on, remember what is its function? We have already discussed in 11, but still remember specifically. The LH act on Leydig cell. LH act on Leydig cell, and so that's why it leads to a release of hormone called as androgen. Okay, which is the main androgen? The main androgen which is present is testosterone. Okay, and you know the function of testosterone. The function of this testosterone, it promotes a process called as spermatogenesis, and thus the sperm formation or spermatozoa formation starts. Okay, any doubt? I again repeat how the process occurs. How the process is regulated or controlled. The process of spermatogenesis, it starts at puberty. So when a male reaches a puberty, the hypothalamus, it releases the hormone called as GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone. This gonadotropin releasing hormone act on anterior pituitary gland. So upon the action of GnRH on anterior pituitary gland, two hormones are released from anterior pituitary gland. One is LH, second is FSH. LH means luteinizing hormone. This luteinizing hormone act on which cell? Leydig cell. You know that is present in the tubule, seminiferous tubule. The Leydig cell, you know the function of Leydig cell. Leydig cell secretes a male sexual hormone called as androgen, and the main androgen is testosterone. What is the function of this male androgen or testosterone? It promotes a process called as spermatogenesis, and thus process starts. Okay, so here thus it controls the process. Apart from that, the another hormone is also gets released, and this is called as FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. This FSH in a male, remember we are discussing the process in a male, okay, because it's a spermatogenesis process. In a male, FSH, it acts on a Sertoli cells, the other kind of a cells which are present in the seminiferous tubule. You know its function. The function of this Sertoli cell, it provides nourishment to the developing spermatozoa. Okay, this Sertoli cell, by action of this Sertoli cell or the action of FSH on Sertoli cell, it promotes a process called as spermatogenesis. Which process is promoted? Spermatogenesis. This process gets promoted. Okay, this is called as spermatogenesis process. So here this LH, it promote a spermatogenesis. FSH, it promote a spermiogenesis. Remember, do not get confused. LH promote a spermatogenesis, means a process of formation of sperm, because it releases the androgen. And FSH, it act on Sertoli cells and that promote a process called as spermiogenesis. As I have already told you that both have a different meaning, spermatogenesis and spermiogenesis. Okay, so that is how the process gets controlled. Whenever the number gets reduced, then again the process is regulated. Okay, so thus the process is of spermatogenesis is controlled. Okay, now see what is the structure of a sperm, or what are the parts of a sperm. So see, there are different components of it. So let's discuss a structure of egg, sperm or spermatozoa, how the process is going to occur. The spermatozoa, it consists of 4 parts mainly. First is called as head, second one is called as neck, third one is called as middle piece, and the fourth one is called as tail. There are 4 parts structurally or anatomically. There are 4 parts of a spermatozoa or sperm. Which are 4 parts? Head, neck, middle piece, and fourth one is tail. So let's discuss the parts. See here, this is the first part. These are the part. The first part, this is called as head portion. This portion is called as neck portion. This one is called as middle piece. And the last portion, it's called as tail. Okay, so these are the different parts of head. Now what are the components they are present in each part? The first component that is present here, that is in the head, that is the large big nucleus. The nucleus is present in it. Which portion? The nucleus is present in the head portion. That contains the DNA, and you know that how much chromosomes are present in it. It contains n number of chromosomes because it is a haploid. It's a haploid. And even you know that spermatid that contains a n number of chromosomes or haploid number of chromosomes. So obviously the spermatozoa or the sperm has haploid number of chromosomes, means 23 number of chromosomes are present in it. Clear? So the main portion of a head that is occupied with nucleus. Okay. The second portion above the head, or there is an anterior region of a head, they have a specific component, and this is called as acrosome. Okay, so the acrosome is present towards an anterior surface of a nucleus. Okay, and you know that this acrosome formation we have already discussed in a spermiogenesis. The acrosome formation, it occurs from Golgi apparatus. So from Golgi apparatus the acrosome formation starts. Now there is a one important information. What this acrosome contains? This acrosome, it contains an enzyme. Remember the name of enzyme, it's very important. The name of this enzyme is hyaluronidase. Which enzyme is present in acrosome? The acrosome contains hyaluronidase. With the help of this enzyme, hyaluronidase, that's present in acrosome, the spermatozoa, it facilitates its entry into a ovum and or egg. Due to this enzyme, the entry of sperm into egg or ovum is feasible or it is possible. Okay, due to this hyaluronidase enzyme. So remember, acrosome contains which enzyme? The enzyme which is present in acrosome is a hyaluronidase. That enzyme is capable of degrading the membrane of egg, and thus it penetrates into an egg or ovum cell. Okay. Next is a neck. It's a portion between a head and middle piece. Now this middle piece, it contains very high number of mitochondria. Okay, so what it contains? It contains mitochondria. Very large number of mitochondria, they are present. You have learned the mitochondria in the 11th science. What is the function of this mitochondria? Yes, you know it. The mitochondria is considered as powerhouse of a cell. And why we call it as powerhouse of a cell? Because it generates or produces the energy. So here it contains many mitochondria. And so that's why obviously a high amount of energy is going to be produced by the mitochondria present in a middle piece. Okay. Next, last part is called as a tail. The tail is responsible for motility or movement of sperm. Okay, the swimming capacity it's due to a tail. But to swim, it needs an energy, and that energy is provided by the energy generated by mitochondria. So the mitochondria provides the energy, so the tail can move, and thus it gives a motility to a sperm or spermatozoa. So that's all about the structure of spermatozoa or sperm. Contains 4 parts: head, neck, middle piece, tail. What the head contains? Head usually contains a nucleus and acrosome. Acrosome contains an enzyme called as hyaluronidase, through which, by which the sperm can enter into a ovum or egg cell. The portion between a head and middle piece is called as neck. Okay, that contains the other organelles of a cell. Middle piece contains a presence of more numbers of mitochondria that generates energy. This energy is utilized to move the tail, and thus there is a motility of a sperm. Okay. In each ejaculation, remember, I'm writing over here. In each ejaculation, how many spermatozoa or sperm gets ejaculated? In one ejaculation, 200 to 300 millions of sperm are released or liberated. From that, 60% should have proper shape and size, and from that the 40% should have vigorous motility, means they are capable to move very vigorously or speedily. If these are present in one ejaculation, that should contain how many number of sperm or spermatozoa? 200 to 300 millions. And from this 200 to 300 million, at least means minimum, 60% should have a proper shape and size, and 40% should have a vigorous motility. Then there are chances of fertility, or that indicates a fertility in a male, means capable of reproducing sexually. If these numbers are less, or they have a different in motility or differences in motility, then they are not considered as fertile, means not capable of reproducing sexually. So these are regarding the numbers which are released in one ejaculation. Okay, so today we have discussed of gametogenesis in a male, what we call it as spermatogenesis. Okay, as the male gamete or spermatozoa is produced in a male as a gamete, male gamete from a testes, similarly the female also produces the ovum or egg. Okay, so the process of this formation of ovum or egg is called as oogenesis, that we will discuss next session. Okay, so till then, do or prepare this process in detail, what we call it as spermatogenesis. Okay, so keep learning, keep watching, like and subscribe this channel. Okay, thank you for watching. Okay, thank you.